አስቀየምሽኝ ብዬ ቂም አልጠነስስም ሆዴ ግን ነው ባንቺ በቀል አይደግስም ልጠላሽ ፈልጌ ፍቅሬን አልቀንስም ደግ ደጉን እንጂ ክፉም አልመልስም አጥፍቻለሁ ብለሽ አትለማመጪ ነገ ረሳዋለሁ ዛሬን አበሳት አንቺ ወንጅለሽ መልሰሽ ተቆጪኝ ልብ እንድቆርጥበት ግን ስለታትስጪኝ ካንቺ ወዲያ በዝቻት ሴት የሌለች እስኪመስለኝ ያንቺ ፍቅር እስከዚህ ጤነኛ አይኔን ይጋርድ ችያሎጣም ከመዳሽ እንዳልጠላሽ ይርጂ ባክሽ አልገባሽ አለች እኔ ነኝ ወዳጅ አልሆነችልሽ ጩኸቴን አትቀሚ ውስጡን የተቀማ ሰው ላይ ሆነማ ከመዳፍሽ አለው ርቄማ አርቅ ስለ ፍቅር ብሎ አዛኝ ሰው ቢያደርግሽ አጥፍቻለሁ ብለሽ አትለማመጪ ነገ ረሳዋለሁ ዛሬን አበሳጭ አንቺ ወንጅለሽ መልሰሽ ተቆጪኝ ልብ እንድቆርጥበት ግን ስለታትሽ
Greeting to you all. My name is Mahdi Omar. This is the African Television Network of New England. Biafra, officially the Republic of Biafra, was a secessionist state in southeastern Nigeria that existed from 30 May 1967 to 15 January 1970. The inhabitants were mostly the Igbo people who led the secessionists due to economic, ethnic, cultural and religious tension among the various people of Nigeria. The creation of the new state that was pushing for recognition was among the cause of the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Nigerian Biafra War. After 2.5 years of war, during which over 3 million civilians died in fighting and from starvation resulting from blockade, Biafra forces under the slogan, "No victor, no vanquish, surrender," to the Nigerian federal military government, and Biafra was reintegrated into Nigeria. What is up with Biafra today? What is hip-hop struggle for? We will talk about it today with my Nigerian brothers and sisters. They are Victor Ibuna, hip-hop Boston Zonal Assistance Coordinator, Josephine Arewa, hip-hop Boston Zonal Coordinator, Tochakua Ikunisi, IPPO Boston Zonal Media Publicity Officer, Dennis Yukatu, IPOP Boston Zonal Secretary. Welcome to our studio, my good friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you briefly tell us about yourself and your relation with IPOP, Indigenous People of Biafra Organization?
Oh, okay. My name is Luchku Ukwansi, and I'm the media publicity of IPOP. And I'm basically a father, born of 8, second in a sibling of 8. And migrated here 12 years ago to the United States of America. And hopefully, by the grace of God, heading towards the nation of Biafra. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Josephine Anirejurishe Erewa. I'll say I am Biafran. and born in Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. I grew up in a close, knit-tight family, and because I'm always looking forward to moving forward. I came from a family of 12 brothers and sisters, and my determination to move and come to this country, I came here over 30 years ago.
Thank you.
And I am a mother, raised 3 sons who are well-to-do, a grandmother to an adorable 6-year-old granddaughter.
Great.
And outside of, I am the zonal coordinator for indigenous people of Biafra and Boston. And outside of that, I'm also the Director of Operations, National African Community Organization, doing community things. I am the Treasurer for APTT, which is African Political Think Tank. And I'm also in the board, I'm a sitting board member of the Villa Victoria Puerto Rican community in the South End.
Yeah, my name is Victor Ebuna. Actually, I was born in Onitsha, which is a city in Biafra, Nigeria. And so I grew up into a very religious parents, you know, and we are 11 of us, and I was number 3 kids, you know. So I went to Catholic school. There my parents put me through school. So after my high school in Nigeria, then they decided to send me to the United States to study. That was why I came here in 1981. You know. So I finished my master's degree in business administration right here. Right now, I'm practicing in my home office in Mahdi as an accountant.
That's good.
I'm his assistant zonal coordinator of independent people of Biafra, you know, right here. And
excellent.
thank you.
That's good. Dennis.
Omar, thank you for having us. My name is Dennis Jukatu. Actually, I've been in Boston over 20 years. Unlike my colleagues over here, there's a slight difference that I was born in Liberia. But the reason I raised that is that my father took me back to Nigeria right after the Civil War.
Yeah.
So I saw firsthand what the disaster, the genocide, I was able to see it. I work actually in the Roxbury area as a nurse manager up the street in one of the hospitals, so I feel at home being around here.
That's good.
Yes. I'm a business owner. I own a daycare center in Brockton, and I also work as a registered nurse, and I've been working over almost close to 15 years. I'm the secretary for the Indigenous People of Biafra here in Boston, and the sentiments remains the same ever since my observation of what I seen when I was a child. And that is why I'm actively involved in this movement.
Excellent. So you grew up in Liberia?
I was in Liberia up to about 7 years old.
And come back to
Then
Biafra?
I went to Nigeria, to Biafra land.
Yes, great experience.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Before diving into our main topic, which is Biafra. Let us talk about the historical background of Nigeria. The country became independent from the British Empire in 1960, and following the independence, the country was divided primarily along ethnic line. Hausa and Fulani in the north, predominantly Muslim. Yoruba in the southwest, 50-50, Christian and Muslim. And Jaws and Igbo, and totally Christian. Tell us their economic, political, and social relation prior to War of Biafra. Go ahead.
The economic and social, the economic and social and
Relation
political relation prior before Biafra.
Yes.
Like the People's General would say, after that is Odumogu Ojukwu, after the independence, that they felt that everybody was being carried along, but not to an extent though, because when the people of the eastern region, because they are more of study wise, they go to school and they occupy most of this parastatus in Nigeria. So the Northerners did not find it funny. They didn't like it. So because they didn't like what they were saying, they felt they should cut the Easterners away from the socio-political and socio-political arena, so they could be the one to head those positions, which Sir Ahmad Bello later disclosed when he was being interviewed by a BBC correspondent.
And Omar, let me throw a little bit more light on that. When you talk about the economic status of Nigeria prior to the independence, you look at the Biafrans, people who are highly educated. They were involved in a lot of businesses, and they practice more nationalism than anyone else. And why do I say this? They live in any part of the country without bias. But the issue is this: the conflict within the economic status of Nigeria erupted because of that particular problem. Now, the Biafrans were educated. Now, when the positions were being opened, the Biafrans were occupying these positions. So they were more exposed to a whole lot of things that were going on. And that didn't sit well with the Northerners. Yeah. Now, the Biafrans were not doing this out of bias. But in any life, if you have an opportunity, you want to capitalize on it. That single factor created such a hatred in Nigeria that when things started to go wrong, when we had disagreements, the result was always the killing and the genocides. And that became the credo of the killing that's been going on, which is at the back of one of the reasons why we really feel that we don't belong together.
Wow.
Yeah, and if I may just kind of throw in on that line that I came here in this country to really understand Nigeria. While in Nigeria all along, truthfully, I must say, I didn't even know I'm Biafran because of the hatred that the Hausas, Fulanis, Yorubas spread to my area, which is the South Delta, to make it look as if the Igbos basically there was hateful propaganda, and they used that to poison our mind, to even make it look like the Biafra itself is a rebel and is Igbo. Truthfully, the Igbos are the most industrious. Biafrans, if you know, or Nigerians, they do anything. You can buy a shoe. You know, you go to a store. I remember when we were little, we go to a store, we see a shoe that is so expensive, really, well, you know, and we can't afford it. You know what? You take that sample to an Igbo, that we make that shoe, we manufacture that shoe, and you know. So they were very industrious. We even have Eastern feed. So they really were very industrious, and that wasn't playing well with the Northerners or the Yorubas. And so there was hateful propaganda that was poison. And I must confess that I came to this country, we were made to even hate the Igbos. We were made to think that the Igbos are bad. But I came here to find that it's the other way around.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to add something, because there's one important thing, you know, that created the hatred, you know, to Igbos by Yorubas and the Hausa Fulani oligarchy. If you come how the British contracted all together, that we had a value system that resonated well with the West. So we already been autonomous. We value education. We are Republicans. So we look towards Western education. So we imbibe Western education more than Yoruba and more than Hausa, because of the different value system that we have in this construction, you know, that actually play very well among Biafrans after the contraction. So we keep with our value system. So when the white man brought education, we embraced education quickly, Western education, because we are Republicans, okay? And in the Yoruba, or rather Oduduwa, they have what they call monarchical system. So they bow before a king, one man. And because of that, they have other smaller gods that make them be more conservative, kind of. So it's very difficult for them to embrace West. So we are quickly to emulate the Western culture, of course. And in the Hausa Fulani section, that's of course called Arewa.
But please, are you telling me that accepting the West lifestyle is better than the...
No, I'm telling you that...
You seem to be very proud of accepting the life of the West.
No. There is one thing that is good about acceptance of some part of the lifestyle of the West. Is the ability to explore, ability to advance, ability to take risk towards what they are going when they get positive direction. That's what we have. Okay? So that is why you see in the West, in the United States of America, they are advanced countries, more than us conservative Africa. You understand what I'm saying? They are more advanced in technology. In school, they make researches. They move forward trying to advance and advance.
Okay.
Okay. That is...
I got it. We have a lot of...
yeah? Did you get that?
Actually, yes, I got it. You are telling me copying the West in a positive way is much better than not to. But you are not telling me that because you totally accept the modern lifestyle of the West, does not make Igbo any better than any other ethnic group.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
what I'm saying.
100% better. Because we only practicing that autonomous in our land before the amalgamation. We are practicing democracy, before the amalgamation. And in the North, there was no democracy. One person said, and everybody will agree, right? And in the West, most of they practice democracy, right? Okay, now, what our value system is not well with the West, better than in the North. Understand what I'm saying? So when they bring in, we are only looking for what will advance us.
Okay, let's know. There are so many people who can definitely disagree. Most of the continent serious problem is trying to copy the West. We will not go any further. We have a lot of questions, but we have our own culture. We have our way of living. Developing that indigenous culture is much better than totally copying anybody's culture to advance your goal. We will leave it there. We'll leave it there because we have a lot of questions that's related to serious Biafra question. 6 years following the independence of Nigeria, in 1966, the military coup occurred, during which 30 political leaders, including the Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Balowi, were murdered or killed. Fortunately or unfortunately, the president, Mahdi Azikiwe, an Igbo, was not killed. So the northerner believed that the coup was orchestrated by Igbos, and the northerner counter coup, and in the process, some 30,000 Igbos slaughtered. It was after this wanton killing that Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu declared independence from Nigeria. The rest is history. Go ahead.
I will go a very broad subject actually, but I will take that. You see, the killing of the Biafrans didn't start in 1960. They've been killing since 1945. Why am I alluding to this? It's that when the Civil War was orchestrated, now I'm going to draw these few points. There were Yorubas involved in the planning. There were 3 Yoruba men involved in the planning.
The coup?
Yes. Mm-hmm. There was also a northerner called Major Castina, I believe, that was involved. These were the coup planners. I wrote an article where I talk about the vacuum of the Biafran War. And I questioned why should there be an intention to eradicate a whole nation of people based on a planned coup. A coup that was planned by other ethnic members. Yes, the Northerners had some elite members that were killed, but the political situation in Nigeria at that point was almost the same as we have it today. The disagreement among our founding fathers who believed that Nigeria was not a nation. Awolowo, who is from the West, made it very clear. Tafawa Balewa made it very clear. Nnamdi Azikiwe made it very clear that this is a nation that is not going to hold. These guys believe that we are going to try anyways. Now, the Biafran War. When the Biafran War orchestrated, you will want to know if the Northerners believe so much, if not for the already building hatred that's been there before all those killings, why wouldn't you go after the coup planners and slaughter the coup planners? But genocide was planned instead. And that takes me back again to my initial comment about the cradle of the hatred. You see, hatred breeds a lot of problems. Killing starts from hatred. And when the hatred is very deep, it eludes human reasoning. And when things happen and they tell you to pick up a gun, you pick up a gun, you start killing without really rationalizing. My uncle was in the north during the Biafra War. And he would tell you how his very good friends turned against him, his neighbors that were in the north, people he trusted, people he felt that was his friend. We had women that were killed, they're pregnant women with their belly cut open. I don't want to go into all the atrocities that happened then, but now when this coup occurred, the Biafrans, now for the information out there, the Biafrans actually, the intention of succeeding was an arrangement to create a safe haven for the Biafrans who were running away from the north. And if you watch some of the videos that you have now, thank God we have technology and you have all these old videos that we didn't have the opportunities to have then. If you look at them now, you have a clear understanding. You see the massive number of Biafrans running away from the north because they were being killed. Those that were lucky were able to make it out of there. So the coup, in a sense, now, once again, is one of those stories that is being sold out there, triggered in order to create hatred towards a particular group, like my sister rightfully said. But in the true essence of the Biafran, the coup, there were Yorubas involved,
Yes.
there were Biafran involved, there were Hausas involved, and also the Biafrans that were involved were all born in the north. So they were raised in the north. They understand the north more than us in the south. When the killing started, they were told to kill anyone who is over 10 years old. Now, this is actually written on declassified information of the British government. It is online. You can see that. There was some disagreement about the whole outcome. So it's a lot of information that we have. And you question that and say, why would you want to kill a whole race of people because few men got together and decided to plan a coup? In other words, the coup was also planned by a group of individuals from different ethnicity, and we paid the price.
Yeah, so the coup, number one, was not orchestrated by Igbos. But I said in my introduction, fortunately or unfortunately, do you think the coup plotter deliberately saved the president to create that kind of a state of mind in Nigeria? So, oh, the Igbo is still alive. It must be something. Is that just a coincidence, or is it deliberate in coup plotter to kill non-Igbos and save the president? Shortly, briefly.
I think I'll go back to
Yes,
that. I think what happened at that time was miscommunication.
Yeah.
Miscommunication among the folks who were sent to go and perform the coup in the east and to kill, presumably kill the Biafran leaders who were the Zeke and the rest.
Yeah.
They did not carry out. Now, it depends on leadership.
Yeah.
If you plan a coups sometimes fall apart in the midst of the arrangement.
Yeah.
Now, the belief that the Easterners didn't want to kill their part was just a fabrication.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was never rectified because you want to know why did it happen. Yes, someone maybe say, well, you know what, we're not going to do this, but that doesn't clarify, that doesn't clear the air. That we, yes. So it was a fabrication. It was not really a fact. We know that the Biafran leaders, yes, Zeke and co were not killed, but if you look at the political structure, what was happening at that point, it is hard for you to really say that it was an intentional avoidance.
Yeah. Okay.
See what yes.
It's a coincidence.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
And if I may add, I believe, if I understand your question, is you alluded to what led to the Civil War, or you're referring to the coup before the Civil War?
No, the coup, the first coup,
The first.
killed 30 political leaders,
Okay.
including the prime minister.
Yes.
But during that coup, the president, who is an Igbo,
Yeah.
was not killed.
Okay.
My question is, after that, the Northerners believed that this coup was orchestrated, produced, enacted by Igbos. Thus, let's go and finish them. My question was, the second question was, that incident, was it deliberate to serve the Igbos, or it just a coincidence that the president was not killed, and the prime minister and other 30 political leaders were killed? My second question was, he told me that it was just unfortunate or unplanned. Yeah.
I think
Briefly, we have a lot of questions. Yes.
Like what he said, it was a miscommunication,
Yeah.
because when the coup plotters, they were sent to their various zones to take care of, Major Zogu went to the north.
Yeah.
And then the people that went to the east, I believe that what happened was that the Easterners, the elites, already, it leaked out to them already before they came. So they disappeared,
Yeah. Leak information.
Information was leaked out.
So the Igbo, the smarter they are.
Yes.
And that's the presumption.
Yes.
Here we go, the Igbos again.
Once again. And I must add again that the hatred,
They can't even escape from death.
the hatred meted out to Igbos was not because of the coup. It was happening before the coup.
I understand, but that was sort of.
And just upon a correction, when you mention that the president was not killed, remember, the political system in Nigeria actually had a prime minister.
Yes.
So Zig actually was not the man in power.
So the prime minister was the mover in the checker was the prime minister.
So he was actually stepped down
the title
from the man who was the main guy in position, which is Tafara Balewa.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I got
I would like to add that
Briefly,
Britain is not out of the picture in
Yeah.
all of this.
of course.
Britain is in the picture. And in fact, Britain is the masterminder of all this coup and everything. And while we are talking about Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, we have to make sure that the real brain behind the whole
Mess.
is Britain.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that
Sure.
Britain is not going to be,
Free.
left out.
Yeah,
of
of course, of course.
Okay.
I will definitely have much more question in regard to that. I have of all the president this country has ever produced, none can be compared with President Abraham Lincoln. Every time I read his second inaugural speech after the Civil War, it moves me to tears when I read actually his books, and I have his audio book as well. And his famous speech, no malice to none. Let me quote him. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God give us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wound, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just, lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. This is after that bloody, tragic civil war in America. What a magnanimous speech. Two questions for you. One is that who coined no victor, no vanquish, like the Abraham Lincoln with malice toward none? Number two, related to that, did Nigeria ever held from the Biafra War? We cannot carry this anger and anguish forever. Did Nigeria held from that tragic war? No?
I'll take.
Okay.
I'll go for that.
And don't forget the reason why I brought Abraham Lincoln is it was just
Yes.
I can go.
to heal the wound, to carry the nation
No victory,
forward.
no vanquish.
Yes, yes. No, no victory, no vanquish. Who coined that? It is almost no malice towards none.
You see, the no victory, no vanquish is all coined by the British.
Oh.
Okay. I remember when, I can categorically tell you, when the People's General, that's Odumogu Ojukwu, came back from our Buri Accord, he thought what they discussed was going to be implemented. But at the end of the day, when Gowon has accepted already, but when the British government called Gowon and asked Gowon, what are you doing? Why did you accept to this kind of deal? You know, Gowon now turned back and turned back and did something else. Not what they promised at Aburi Accord. That was what they now did. They did something else. So going back to what actually occurred, it's more like a crazy setting when you have leaders that does not accept the fact that whatever you guys discuss is going to be the way you guys discuss it, okay? And we thought the war was over. The whole eastern region thought the war was over. But at the end of the day, we found out that the war wasn't over yet. Because this problem of trying as much as possible to renegade the people of Biafra behind kept on going, kept on going. The social, political strangulation, the economic strangulation of our people continued to thrive. Even when we thought, after the Civil War in 1970, they started by abandoned property. Any property, even if you have 10 houses, I mean, if your houses are the north, the west, you ain't getting it.
Excuse me, my friend. My question is the healing part, the reason why I brought Abraham Lincoln. The Civil War in America is the most bloodiest war ever. It's incredibly tragic. There's so many people died. But after the defeat of the South, that was the speech in a second inauguration, in a state of revenge, hatred, and anger. He said, no malice toward none. To treat the surrenders, the West, humanly. To build the future of this country. Look the result now. My question is, do you have your version of Abraham Lincoln? And associated with that question is, did Nigeria ever healed from that wound? Carrying that anger.
There was no healing in fact, if I can jump into that section. And the word no victory, no vanquish was romanticized, just a flamboyant way of trying to get people to come back together. The reality is that after the Biafra War, there was no healing. It never healed. I'll be very categorical about that.
Yeah.
And the reason it says it doesn't heal is that when you have a marriage and you go through setbacks and you meet a psychology and the psychologist says, well, this is what we're going to do, plan A, plan B, plan C. If we go through these plans, you guys should be able to do well together. The Nigerian government never kept her end of the deal. The marginalization continued.
Yes.
Abandoned properties were taken away from the Biafrans. The ability to actually reside in any other part of a country, so-called one nation, was very difficult until maybe 10, 15 years after that the Biafrans now started to explore other parts of the country. Major political positions were being denied.
Yes.
We hear so many talking about the Southerners didn't support someone in the North, which is not true. When President Shagari, who was the first president, when the Biafrans overwhelmingly supported him. So that means the Biafra didn't mind if somebody from the north was actually the right person to do the job. But the Biafrans continue to see the intentional marginalization of our people. And political positions that were held, that the Biafrans had the opportunity to hold on to, they were being denied. Yes. And you hear people like Sanusi, who is the former, he's now the MI of Kano. Well, he was the former central bank, governor of central bank. Yeah, and he made a statement very clear. And he talked about this. So, you know, it has been, this is, Nigeria is like sitting on a time bomb. The Biafrans have paid the price. Over 45 years, we have pushed them. Now, this is an elite man talking about this. I have to keep my ears open. We need to stop this. They've been marginalized for so long. They have paid the price for the Biafran War. Now, when you mean paying the price for the Biafra War, we talk about the marginalizations, business, industries that you can go any part of the country, have the ability to open and start your own businesses, which we did very well. When it comes to signing paperwork for industries, Lagos, for example, Lagos is the capital. If a Biafran person wants to open an industry, it's like going to the moon to get it. Yeah. And all of our seaports in the south, you can't bring anything through. You travel abroad, bring in a container, you go to Kaduna, which is actually in the north, to go and pay for and clear that. On your way back, you pay every police officer on the road. By the time your container gets to the south, it is going through hell. The hell that is being unleashed on the Biafrans. I mean, if people sometimes, when we get into this discussion, say, let's be realistic, what we see. I say, what does the roads look like in the east? The roads have been abandoned for 45 years. There's no federal president in the south but the military. The only president of the military government in Nigeria, in the Biafra land, is the soldiers. And those soldiers are there killing people every day. Even as we speak, still killing for little disagreements. Wow. So now the president that was, out of the 15 presidents that have been in position since the independence, only 2 from the south. And those 2 from the south is one from the west, which is Obasanjo. Now, who actually has no connection with the Southerners? Even his own European people will tell you when he was in office, we didn't really benefit from him. Now, the next Southerner that was impressed was Jonathan, who just handled power peacefully.
Jonathan Goodman.
Yes. When Jonathan, record shows that Jonathan built more roads than any other president in the history of Nigeria. Where are those roads? The roads are all built in the north. There was not a single road built in the south. So when the Southerners are constantly, the Biafrans are speaking about these things, we are seeing things, we are seeing the facts, the marginalizations, and the political disparity that you have going on. And that's where we feel enough is enough. Yeah. A Biafran will orchestrate and put everything together, but when the time comes to select a leader, they push the Biafran down. This is all spelled out when you listen to some of the elite members. The arrogance in the country is out of control. Yeah, and it has gotten so deep that sometimes you wonder if they're really paying attention. And I say something, I said the ability for Nigeria to really heal. The Nigerian government missed the opportunity to heal the country right after the war. Yeah. They ignored the opportunity to heal that country. And now to talk about healing almost 50 years later, when so much killing, so much blood has been spilled, it is so difficult to talk about it.
Wow, it's very tragic.
I would say, I'm going to be very brief in this because the hatred, like I've been saying, it started from the time Nigeria was created. Because of 3 different value systems. I said it again, that's where hatred came from. And then the day we the Biafrans, we already have our own value system. We already have the way we writing. We have what we call in CBD writing. So we're already doing what the West are doing before the West came. That's why it's easy for us to embrace the West. Okay, that's what I'm talking correct now. Then the Northerners, they are mostly nomads. They don't value education. So when we Biafrans, became educated, and then we seized the floor all over Federation. We are teachers, we are in administration, we are everywhere in the North. So that aroused the...
My brother, I mean, I don't like to generalize, to say that the Northerners don't value education. I mean, be a little bit fair, my brother. You may, but because of a different historical opportunity, maybe the Biafran are much more educated. I get that.
Yes.
But to say that they don't value education, to me, does not really hold water to me. I want you to be a little bit fair in your step.
Okay.
I understand
Okay.
the Biafrans are much more educated. I know that.
Can I correct you?
Please.
I correct you on this.
Yeah.
I have been to school with the Northerners, okay? They tell me point blank that the school, they tell me. So when I say the truth, it looks like it's not the truth, but it's a fact.
They don't like education.
No, they don't like it. It's a fact. They don't like it. They tell me they do. Yeah. But now, in the recent Northerners now, they have seen it. They started going to school now. But before, they did not. Now they saw the essence of education. Remember the Ahmadu Bello, the man that said that all Biafrans taking over their work in their land, in administration and in the teaching profession, is all Biafran in there. So he said now they have come to realize that they have to start going to school because that is why they hated us. So what I'm saying is correct, absolutely correct. I'm not saying that they are not right now. They try to go to school now. Let me tell you something. In a quota, with a quota section, our own quota section, before a Biafran will enter university, the person will score 139. But in the North, only 2 points. Okay? So
please, briefly.
Just how to make it brief. I'm coming back. I'm coming back there.
Less than 10 minutes.
I'm coming back to Victor. The reason why, after the war, it was no hearing after the war, was because they came up with that proposal, with the introduction of no Victor, vanquish. Then entrenching equity, fairness, reconstruction, reintegration, and rehabilitation.
Yes.
Then all these proposals, none of them has been implemented. Okay. Rather, they decided to replace those proposals with more hatred on the Biafrans. Okay. They decided to destroy us. That's the fact. You know what they did? They went and removed the map of Biafra out of the map, out of the original map in Africa, Bight of Biafra. They removed it out of the map. Now, that destroys what identifies us. Because we are Biafrans. So we are no more Biafrans, but they remove it. And then although the war in place, Ariwa in place, Biafra gone, removed. Then they went as far as trying to divide us. They divided us into south-south, southeast, River State, Cross River, so try to divide us. So this is hatred. Is what we are here to stop it. Right now, that we do not need people who hate us.
Yeah, you also have to be coming halfway too. I mean, you don't have to show this kind of level of anger towards your fellow Nigerians, really. If you want a reconciliation and peace, it has to start from you. And the agitation and the anger you displayed really does not invite friendship to fellow Nigerian. We don't have too much time. The secessionist, we don't have too much time, believe me. The secessionist movement in Africa is not a very
interesting subject.
Yes. The case in point are Eritreans and South Sudan. South Sudan, with all its natural resource, as we speak, it's genocide is going in that area. What made you believe? We have only 5 minutes. Biafra would do any better than the South Sudan and Eritrea? you would think that you will be very successful, you will be prosperous. But the experience of other independent states seceded from the motherland did not turn out to be a milk and honey. What made you believe that you can do better alone than with the whole of Nigeria?
I don't think the question necessarily is about we doing better.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to say we're better than anyone. We believe in our capacity to build. Right. We believe in our capacity to unite. Israel right now sits among nations, and we know the history of Israel being able to get to this level. Now, one may ask, why is Israel being so successful? Surviving since 1945 and all of that. The Biafrans have the ability, we know how to reach out to people. What we are looking for is sovereignty. Because when you get sovereignty, you understand who you are. You build and you extend your relationship to the rest of the I actually believe that Biafra will create an exciting competition in the region. Because what happened is that we tend to get a little laid back in Africa. Mm. We need that competition to stimulate that competition. Right now, it's not happening. Mm-hmm. And I believe that Biafra will do a better job than most of the countries. Ethiopia is doing wonderful. Eritrea, I read the histories, even though we hear of the wall and all of that, but we see the good side. Ethiopia is doing wonderful, the economy, the new train line, and all of those things. So we want to see encouragement. And we want to move away. And just one more little thing I want to add.
I want to give a chance to
our system is more Republican in the sense that we know how to galvanize ourselves behind someone and move ahead.
Thank you very much. Only 2 minutes. I want to give you. You want to talk about British. So I will ask you, who is Frederick Lugard? Briefly, only 2 minutes.
Right. Frederick Lugard actually, he is British, and his wife. Flora Shaw, they were all in India. But when the British, their interest in Biafra's resources, and please, you all can correct me, sent Frederick Lugard from India to that area. At that time, it wasn't Nigeria. You have Biafra on the map since 18, and please go do a search. Go on Google and log in 1827 world map of Africa. You will see Biafra right there. So Biafra has been in existence long before 1914, when Lugard and his wife came. The interest to, control Biafra's resources, that area, prompted Lugard, his wife, Shaw, and their British masters to now bring North, who are predominantly Muslim, Yorubas, who are half-half, like you already in the introduction, and then Biafra, who are predominantly Christians, to bring them together. But if you really look at it, Nigeria, Britain wasn't about the interest Nigeria. It was Biafra's resources.
Thank you very much. We don't have too much time. We have only 1 minute left. Thank you very, very, very much for enlightening us about the plight of Igbo people. I pray to Allah, I pray to God that the federal government and the Biafran people will solve their problem without any bloodshed. Thanks again. You have been watching the African Television Network of New England. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Tiyarresam seleş ayraram oylib Tiyarresam seleş ayraram oylib Tiyarresam seleş ayraram oylib Kabrana tanımay kegest damna Adabal konsert koşay kefetret neyna Asabi sikemdway siasferara gru Nali nali nyali nyay ligelena fikr Kabrana tanımay kedikdik ጀለና Adabal konsert kollay kefetret neyna Asabi sikemdway siasferara gru Nali nali nyali nyay